guys are so funny. You're trying to get me to do this stupid shit. And
she just whispered, "I'm a bad bitch," for anyone who didn't hear. Stop. 420.
I'm lit at Disney.
And the kids asleep in the bath.
There we go.
A ball sack station. That's what a business owner looks like. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Tattoo Homewreckers. This is a podcast where we talk about tattoos, life, and everything in between. My name is Callista, and this is
Lou.
And in the background, we do have a dog walking around. So if you hear scratching noises, that's exactly what that is. But we just came back from the Portland Tattoo Expo. How was it for you?
Good.
Sorry, I know that was really really abrupt. Yeah. We just came back from a convention. I guess what I really should start with is what does your gender feel like today?
I'm gonna have you get started. What does your gender feel like?
I would say my gender feels like a desert squirrel. So not like a squirrel in its best conditions. Mm-hmm. If you guys have normal squirrels, props to you. They're the squirrels with the actual big bushy tails and they're kind of chunky, you know. But the desert squirrels out here are very small, they're just surviving. So yeah. I feel like a desert squirrel.
That's a solid, yeah. We've talked about that a lot lately.
Yes.
Everything in the desert is just trying to survive.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just feel like a rock trying to fucking just make it through. Like the closer we drove to Reno, the more I was like, we are here.
This is why we're leaving. Yep.
And I am surviving, not thriving here.
Totally. So a desert rock, you would say?
Yeah. Yep. Bummer. A rock.
Big bummer. Yeah, so we just came back from a convention. I know that we were talking about last time on the podcast how to prep for a convention. And now this time around, we just kind of wanted to talk about how it went for the two of us. Is this backwards? No, it's not.
Nope.
Sorry. She's struggling today. And as far as conventions go, I would say this one was definitely one of the slower side for us. With conventions, there's really no way to kind of prep for if it's going to be crazy slow or crazy busy. So going into it, I think we both kind of had a feeling though.
Yeah,
weird,
I mean, we knew that driving up, we both had bad vibes around the fact that it was this does not feel the same as the previous convention. And we had all hopes, but the drive for Portland, though, Cole and Rachel love that drive, is awful for us.
Totally.
Yeah. And because we take Caboose's truck, I do the whole drive and it's a nasty long, I can do a long endurance drive, but the drive up to Portland from Reno is not good.
Yeah, that one in particular is awful because the first 3 to 4 hours, it's just
yeah, the first half of it is 4 hours of just desert, and as we've stated before, that's not my vibe, that's not your vibe. Neither one of us are oh my gosh, this is so pretty.
Yeah. And
then by the time we get up there, where you start getting trees, you're just kind of over being in the car.
Oh, totally. Yeah, although it's it definitely gets gorgeous, going into Oregon. By that point, yeah, you're just tired. You don't want to be in the car anymore. You're just over it. And we had set up the night beforehand after coming off of that 9.5 hour drive, got to the expo center, was able to unload our stuff and kind of do I wouldn't even say a half setup, but we, put everything in there.
Yeah, unpacked everything, got the Barbie box ready.
Yeah. And we both kind of had a feeling oh, we'll see how it goes. It was just, I think with any kind of tattoo convention, another thing that no one really prepares you for is how bright the lighting's going to be or how dim it's going to be, and exactly how the space is going to feel creatively. Because oddly enough, we get in there and I kind of personally felt and this is no shade, no tea to the Portland Tattoo Expo at all, but, getting into the center, it feels like you're at a warehouse, Yeah,
because it's a convention center, so it's not necessarily we're used to being in expo halls that are connected to hotels and have just, I don't know, life in them. And this definitely felt like a vacant warehouse. And though it was awesome because in this case, you didn't have carpet on the floor. They had to cover it with plastic. It was all concrete.
Yeah.
It definitely was a dead space.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Creatively, it's so odd how that happens. It kind of, We talked about it a little bit. When you're feeling in the creative zone of tattooing, it kind of, that creativity just flows through you and then flows somewhere else. And it's able to like kind of circle the air and do its own thing. But like getting into there, it kind of just felt like stagnant, you know? Like every time I was like creatively trying to get into something, it was more based of like hyper focusing on my pieces rather than just letting everything flow. Which in that point, I'm very grateful for like the technical aspect of it, where it's like I don't have to be feeling my best creative self in order to push out some great tattoos. That's something that they don't tell you to be like prepared for. I don't know if it was the same for other artists, but that's definitely how we felt.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was overall like a good convention. We were able to do some fun pieces. Did you have anything that you wanted to touch on?
No, I was trying to figure out, you like are like hyper all of a sudden.
Oh, well,
your energy shifted the moment the camera came on. I'm just like, whoa, it's like on a roller coaster.
Are you getting used to it? Okay,
yeah,
sorry.
I'm
like
still adjusting. We were just watching TV and like chilling, and then like the moment we hit record, she's like 120.
All right, let's talk about,
and I was like,
all
oh,
the things.
Goodness gracious.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
My bad. Yeah, I feel like I've been talking this entire time. It's just been a minute since we've been able to record. So I'm over here like, all right, let's fucking do this thing. But yeah, Portland. We had only had a couple clients scheduled. I think I had maybe one appointment like fully in the books. And what I would love for conventions to do is to tell you whether or not it is a convention where you bring your own clients or if it's like a walk-up friendly convention.
Okay, so that's kind of like out of left field, I'm sure, if you're just listening, because we've been talking a lot about that. I don't think it's fair to say that conventions should tell you that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because the conventions don't necessarily know. What we were talking about, just to kind of elaborate on that more, was it would be great if like artists talked amongst themselves about those kind of things, because I don't think it's fair for the convention to be like, hey, by the way, pay all this money, come all this way, but bring all your own clients.
That's true. There's no way for them to know.
Yeah, they don't know that either. But the more we spoke with artists that had previously been there, they were like, yeah, it's always a slow convention. So like we were talking about if there was like a forum for tattoo artists or like basically Yelp for tattoo conventions that was like, hey, this is it. Because it's not necessarily like that can sound like a bad thing on the front end to be like, oh, well, it's a slow convention, so I'm not going to like bring my like, you know, A game because there's not going to be a ton of people. But instead of being like, hey, I'm going to focus on walk-ins, then you know, hey, I'm going to focus on like, I'm going to bring a friend, I'm going to have a friend meet me there, and I'm going to work on like a portfolio piece. I'm going to work on a piece that can like showcase me to other tattoo artists. And you know that if it's a slower convention, because there's kind of two different types of conventions. There's a really busy ones where you spend the entire time working. You don't get to meet your like booth mates, like the people on either side of you, because all of you are just working nonstop. It's slammed. And then at the end of the convention, you're all like packing up and you turn to each other and you're like, oh my God, I love that piece you did. Like, why didn't we talk all weekend? And it's really because you were too busy working. Or there's ones like this that don't have a ton of clients walking through. And they did have like some spacing stuff. So they gave like plenty more space. But even then, like as someone who's done a lot of conventions, there just wasn't a lot of clientele. So in those conventions, you get to spend more time like hanging out, mingling with artists and networking. So it's more of a networking convention, but it would be nice to know that because then a lot of the local artists just had appointments already booked. But a lot of us that traveled are like, oh yeah, we don't know that. And like, once again, it's no shade on the organizers because at the end of the day, they do the best they can. And like the Portland Tattoo Expo has phenomenal social media. It's just that Portland itself is a very oversaturated city with tattoo artists. So most of them already had a tattoo artist.
Yeah, that's true. It's also hard, I guess, for event coordinators to know exactly how busy you are going to be because there were a lot of pieces that we just weren't currently taking on right now. So depending on the style, like you can't really like pin down exactly what style is going to be the most popular at a convention. Like if it's just going to mostly be like fine line stuff or it's going to be full color all day. So that's also a thing. But if anyone, I don't know, is in charge or knows anybody who can make like a really cool app for like a tattoo forum for conventions, that would be dope. But overall, it was a really good convention for networking. We met a lot of tattoo artists in that area and like, you know, in the surrounding area. And they were so kind and so nice. And like we had brought a ton of like merch to give out. And it was really cool because it was an icebreaker for tattoo artists to come up and actually talk to us. And we ended up making friends on like the first day. Yeah, which is...
By the time, so we had 4 hours of setup on Friday morning, and so from 10 to 2, and by the time 2:00 came around, we had to lay out our Saturday merch because the artist had just cleared us out of like all of our keychains. And it was great because it allowed us to like have that connection with them. And then, it was really interesting having artists, like, especially like for me, growing up with more traditional, and I don't mean in like style, I mean traditional artists in the fact that like it wasn't full of like I don't know how to explain this, like the soft, delicate flowers we now have as artists in our industry. I grew up right on that cusp of the tattoo renaissance that we have been in, but right when it first started, where it was very traditional artists in the sense that like if you were a scratcher, they were going to come break your hands. And so having artists like that, which is what I mean by traditional artists, having them come up and like praise the booth and be like, wow, you guys are like, your branding's on point, was really cool. And like one of my favorite things was having the artists recognize like all the work that we put in.
Oh yeah. We had a lot of male tattoo artists come up and say the same thing, and our booth is obviously Barbie themed and it's bright fucking pink, but these like hard motherfuckers would come up to us and be like, you guys are so cool. Like what you did was awesome, like way to stand out. And I thought that was amazing because it was just really nice to almost get like that like reassurance or validation from another artist that like, hey, you guys are fucking awesome. Hell yeah. And we got to like meet other tattoo shops that also have different themes, and that was really cool. Like I'm excited to see what they're going to do next year, and we were able to talk about like booth layout and stuff like that, and it was just overall a really cool experience, actually being able to talk to other tattoo artists. Because our first one we really weren't able to, so it was really cool to have time and make some new friends, because typically I feel like with our last convention, it was only until the last hour of the third day that we were able to even walk around and like briefly have like a couple conversations with people. But at that point, they're also kind of packing up and ready to go, because conventions can be really exhausting, regardless of like how much you've tattooed. It is still very a very overstimulating thing. There's just so much energy.
Do you want to talk about that more for people that don't know?
How overstimulating it can be? Absolutely.
Like what you mean by that?
Yeah. There's the constant, you'll notice if you like have a second to just like listen, the decibel of sound of the machines going and people talking, it is the same level all throughout every single day. Just like constant, because there's so many people, and like with this particular, like where we were at, A, the acoustics in there were crazy. And then B, we're also next to a stage. So typically there's going to be a stage. There's going to be an MC. Sometimes there's going to be DJs. There's a DJ at this one.
Two different DJs.
Female
and a male.
Yeah. So they were playing music and we were right next to the stage, which means we were right next to the speakers too. And then on top of that, like with the overstimulation, you're essentially getting ready to tattoo, and I kind of think of it like prepping for surgery, but you're not at home base. So everything is different. Your layout's different. Where your supplies are different. So that's just another added layer of stress. And then on top of that, it's just a whole bunch of different energies, just so many different kinds of people all in one area. So yeah, even though you're having a good time, you kind of talked about this a little bit. It's hard to text people or like be like fully in it and like socialize with like people who aren't at the convention, like Caboose or whatnot. Just because it's just a lot of socializing, even if like you're not actively doing it, if that makes sense. Like there's just so much activity going around. Yeah, so we're really grateful because Cole and Rachel helped us out at this convention. And oh my gosh, if you guys have friends who just want to help out, any extroverted friends that want to help out your
you
booth.
need an extroverted friend. To be clear on that,
Yes.
You do not need an introverted friend because they will just scare people away. But if you have an extroverted friend that likes tattoos and likes to talk about tattoos, you just throw a tattoo on them and that's how you pay them. And then they are what are affectionately called booth bitches, and they are there to help like grab water for you, grab food, because you can't really leave the booth a whole lot. And also just to like answer people's questions as they come up, because like we were saying, like it is a slower convention. And on top of that, everyone that was like coming up wanting to get stuff done where like the easiest way to explain it is that they want like minnows, like instead of like big fish, which is what we're doing, like, you know, medium to larger scale, like tattoos. I hate to say the word medium because that means something different, but like I want to be tattooing for a couple hours. I don't want to be doing 17 minimums in a day. That's fine if you're there to make money. And like in the past, it's been a thing, but we were fortunate enough that we didn't need to make money in that case, you know, like the business is doing well enough that we weren't like stressed about like we need to make sure we get all of our money back, because we did have a couple appointments. But the amount of people that were coming up just wanting like genuinely like 5-minute tattoos, where I was like, the $100 you're going to pay me for that is not worth it for the emotional labor and the time I'm going to spend setting up, because setups always take longer at conventions. We talked about that in the last prep convention episode, that like it's going to take longer to set up, to tear down, because your tool chest is already different. And that's if you're lucky enough to bring a tool chest.
Oh, yeah.
We do bring our entire setup. So for us, it is easier. But if you're watching on YouTube and the lighting's changing, that's because Kavish just got home. But we bring everything with us. That was also something really fun for me, was the artists that were coming up being like, did you guys rent a U-Haul?
Yeah, that was
I'm like,
cool.
Not for a 9.5. It was really like 10-hour drive on the way up there. Like, not for a 10-hour drive. We didn't, because like that would have been terrible. And like, though it's really nice to have access to a truck, my husband's truck is not comfortable either.
It's like driving a boat.
Yeah.
Like a little apartment. Like,
yeah. And the actual like truck itself, like I can not recommend the Tundra to anybody, because though I like the way it looks aesthetically, like to drive it, especially not being a particularly large human being. And I mean, I'm an average size woman, so I'm not even like a small woman. I have to put an extra pillow on the seat, because otherwise like I'm so far down, and just the whole thing is so massively uncomfortable. And then it's so loud that like the 10-hour drive up there, you're just like, oh my God, I'm going to kill myself.
Yeah.
But it is better than having to drive a U-Haul, because I have had to drive U-Hauls before. They're terrible. And so for the like couple shops I did see roll in with U-Hauls, fucking props to you, dude, because I could not. Like, that sounds terrible. But yeah, we pack up the truck and take everything with us. And that's, you know, same as last time. That's what I always recommend. But even with everything coming with us, because instead of having the ink cabinets that we have at the studio, the inks are now in our tool chest, which means we have to lay stuff out differently. So you spend the entire time punking yourself, being like, this is not where my usual like glove drawer is. This is not my usual like place to put these things. So it's that little bit of like added frustration as well, of like, I'm glad that I've been tattooing long enough that even if I'm not having a good time, I can still execute a great tattoo. But it is frustrating when you're like, I just want to relax and I fucking can't.
Yeah, the entire time that you're there, you definitely can't. Like, you can get into the flow of things, but I think a lot of people can relate that, like, you're able to, I don't know, adapt to it, but then the second you're out of it, you're tanked. Like, after every night after the convention, we're fucking done.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like dead to the world. I sleep so good. There is that. The second my head hits a pillow, I'm out like a light. But overall, again, like, I think that the tool chests really do help. We talked about that during the last episode as well. But it's stressful in a good way though. I mean, like, again, it was really fun. I'm really happy that we did do it. We made a lot of friends. It was really, really cool. I put out a portfolio piece, which I was really excited about. It's on Cole. So again, like, having a friend there who will let you just like tattoo whatever it is stylistically that you want to do is great. It's like, I scratched your back, you scratch mine. Thank you for helping out the booth. And again, thank you for all of our extroverts out there, because it's also nice, because it's really hard to talk to people who are coming up to your booth while you're tattooing, because you're constantly kind of getting pulled out of the piece, which is not what you want. You know, ideally, you want to be able to be focused 100% in whatever it is that you're tattooing. So thank you. Thank you. But yeah, Portland, I love the Pacific Northwest. That was a good time. I was able to do like tarot card pieces too, and that was really fun. And we got to see really talented tattoo artists there too. It was crazy, the amount of talent there. And it's, you know, mostly like color work, which is great. It's very refreshing to see. Because again, as much as we harp on Reno, it really is just a black and gray American traditional town. So it's nice to see other artists that like to do the same stuff that we do as well. And again, there's not that like competition, because we're not at all in the same city. We're 10 hours away. Like, we're able to be friends, and that was really cool. But okay, another thing. Sorry, I really wanted to
No,
bring this
you're
up.
good. You are on a roll.
When you're trying to eat at a convention, people will talk to you as well. You were talking about that. So that's also stressful when you need a moment to chill. I would love to, when we eventually put on a convention one day in the future, would love to have a separate artist area so that way people can actually eat and not have to worry about like, oh boy, sorry, I just took a bite. Yeah, here's my table. Here's everything.
And they did have picnic tables out there, but I mean, that's that whole like most tattoo artists are not extroverts. So, like you'd have one or two people at the like big picnic tables. Then I'm like, well, I don't want to go sit with a stranger while I'm eating. Like that's not the whole point right now is that I don't want to interact with anyone else. So like I'm literally crouched down, hiding behind our table so that way I can eat and people are still like hovering over trying to have conversations. And you're like, oh my God, people. So like having a separate room helps, which they had that at the Seven Feathers convention. Like it genuinely helps to just have time away from the general public. Because even with a convention like this where it's not busy with the general public, the people that are there definitely want to interact with you.
Oh, yeah,
so
for sure.
It's like, you just want to have like a little bit of a space for you to be able to go to that's not like having to interact with people. Because I think it is important to like have that time to recharge.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And then when it comes to like packing everything up and like leaving, we did find out some tips and tricks. You want to make sure that like anything that is important that has hardware, please just pay attention. Take your time with it. My light ended up losing one of the little bits that like actually hooks it onto the to the stand, which is such a bummer because I was like, gosh, where did you go? Like, I really need that. Oh God. So that's one downside to like bringing everything, but you should bring everything. It does make the thing, like, I don't know. I feel like it does make tattooing in a different spot a lot more seamless than it normally would. Just because at least like you have all your items that you're familiar with. Like it's nice to work with the things that you're familiar with.
So I guess my question would be, what would help you slow down? Because I noticed, like, I mean, we've talked about this on here before. Like, at the end of a party, at the end of an event, you are like a fucking wreck. You're just shoving shit places. So, like, what would help you as someone who wants to rush through that, be more methodical?
Oh, I think typically it just takes me one time of like, losing something like that to learn. It's the same thing as like when we would get into rental cars and we would just settle with something shitty and then be panicky about it. But then we realized like, oh, if we actually just take a breath and really take our time with this, it's a lot better. And like actually,
so that's your advice is take a breath.
Take a breath. I know you're excited to leave. You're good. Don't worry about it.
I'm a person that like, I start slowly packing up important stuff like beforehand. So it was like 2 or 3 hours before like the convention closed, but all of us were like pretty much most tattoo artists at that point are like, nah, dude, I'm not taking any more pieces. So I had started to like break stuff down and then like, you know, Cole and Rachel are like, oh, do you need help? And I'm like, nope, I got this. Because like these are like, this is our paperwork. These are the important things.
There are also things that you want to touch to make sure that you know.
Yes, like I know where it's at.
Yeah, exactly. So when you do have helpers too, I think that's also really great advice. It's like if there are really important things, like again, like the iPad, the shop iPad, or like for me, it would be like my machines and my batteries don't get packed away with my tool chest. That actually gets packed away with me personally. So that way I know that I fucking have them. Overall though, great convention. I had a good time. It was fun. The drive was really hard, but
that drive sucks, dude.
I can't imagine. You're a trooper for that.
I do not like driving anywhere on the West Coast, like whatsoever. Because even like up in the mountains, it is pretty, but it's not as nice when you're the person driving like a fucking 2-ton truck or however fucking big that truck is. It's not as much fun because you're on mountain roads and like you get stuck behind people and you're not able to enjoy the beauty. I definitely am more of an East Coast driver, like North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida. All of those are better because even like Florida, which kind of sucks driving down 95, it's just straight long stretches and there's 2-lane highways the entire way.
Oh, what?
Whereas
that's nice.
That's a fucking West Coast thing where you guys are like, oh, a 1-lane highway. That's all you need. Never mind that you're going to get stuck behind someone forever and you're only going to have passing lanes like every fucking
and
40,
opportune
50
times
miles.
too. we're right before like this crazy curve that you can't see the other side of.
Yeah.
Why would you do that? Don't tempt fate. Don't do
Yeah.
that. Wow, that's crazy.
Terrible. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, overall, really, I'm just very grateful for all the friends that we were able to make. It was like really fun. This is our last convention in the States. And although I wish that like Cali Lou's had more time to do like more, I'm really happy that we're moving to New Zealand. So that way we don't have to do that drive again as well.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
I just kept repeating that to myself the whole time. And the same thing will happen, at least like when we drive down to LA, like for the flight. A, we'll have a rental, so we won't be in the truck. And then B, we'll like Caboose and I can trade off on driving. So then we'll have that. And then the dogs will be with us too. So it's nicer. And then I probably will have more than 2 hours of sleep.
Oh, yeah. Do you want to talk about that right before we left? It was only 2 hours of sleep.
Yeah, because I was still getting those keychains ready, which I'm glad I got them ready because
we got cleared out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were such a hit. They really were such a hit. Another word of advice. Yeah, I think we did cover
that would be the advice. Bring free shit for people.
Bring free shit.
Like not like shitty stuff, but cool stuff. Like, and if you don't have access to a laser like we do, I understand. Most people don't. Most people, aren't married to some like massive nerd who's like, hey, I have all these toys that directly benefit your business.
Thank you so much. Wow, we take all these things.
Yeah.
Custom.
if you don't have access to all that, you make those little like beaded bracelets, and those were really popular. So like whatever it is you like we kept talking about this when it came to like the booth where it's like, hey, like what we're giving out is representative to us. So like we have really funny sayings on our keychains and our bracelets, and like you hand make every little beaded bracelet, and then I have to
calloused from it.
Input every single like individual little laser thing. Although Caboose did make some templates for them, and that was a game changer.
Yes, but you do have to individually slide
individually do it,
close
line it up, make sure it's perfect.
Right, and then press the button, watch it go, and then unpackage it.
And then it's loud, so I can't really watch TV. I try, but like I didn't turn the fan on at one point, and then I burned a tip, and then I also didn't turn a fan on, and I made the house really smoky. So so it's not as like chill as I'd like it to be,
it's worth
intense. It. Yeah, it's worth it for the fact that like to watch people's excitement. And now I know that like the next convention we do, which will be in New Zealand, we will have like tattoo specific like keychains to put out before the clients get there. And then we'll have client stuff, and we'll still have the tattoo artist things mingled in there. But like booth bitch, like
shop bitch.
Yeah, shop bitch. Apprentice.
World's okayest tattoo artist.
Yeah. Like, I forgot. Caboose had a really good one, and I can't remember what it is now. What was it? Oh, blowout expert.
Blowout expert.
Yeah. Everyone who's a tattoo artist will fucking love that. So,
that's funny.
Yeah, blowout expert. Because like we had a two people that were with a shop come up, and they're like, oh, like one of our people keep losing their shop keys, so we're gonna give them one of these keychains, which I think just said bitch on it. And they're like, we're gonna give them that because it's like bright. And so it's really about like what merch is gonna represent you, because at the end of the day, like, yes, we do dress as Barbies the whole time. I also would highly recommend that if you have a remotely themed tattoo shop, go all in.
Commit.
Wear costumes every day. It makes you memorable. It also, weirdly enough, makes you more approachable. And you explained this before, that basically it's like us having like our Avenger costumes.
Oh, yes.
So when we put them on, it makes it easier. Like, I'm really introverted. And so it makes it easier for me to be like, okay, well, I'm literally just a Barbie right now. So I can just talk to people and it's not as scary. But it does help, A, make you more memorable, and B, make you more approachable, because people that can then just come up, because like the people that I remember the most were really distinctive looking in their like clothes and their energy and the way they carried themselves. And then we also got to celebrate. So like every day they'd come by the booth to show us their outfits, and we got to like celebrate them and enjoy them. And it was great to do that like as artists, like to be able to like celebrate that. But it really comes down to like give out free stuff. Not just because it's free, but because it's a great icebreaker. It's a great icebreaker for your clients. But now we also know, because we didn't have free stuff at our last convention, it's an amazing icebreaker with tattoo artists, which was surprising for me because I genuinely didn't think any tattoo artists would grab stuff, because in the past, I haven't seen many artists want to rep other people's shops. And obviously everything we're giving out has our name on it, but they didn't give a fuck. They were like, dude, these keychains are the tits. they're funny. They're grabbing ones that are like meaningful to them. So when we have like gay and tired or like queer oriented things, or like for myself, we had ADHD and like autism stuff, then it makes like those specific crowds, which are, you know, specific to us because it is our group of people, it makes them feel seen. So whatever that is, if you're like, dude, I'm a Trumper, then have some Trump shit there. So that way, you know that the people that are attracted to that are going to be coming towards your booth.
Yeah, we won't be attracted to your booth, but at least your clientele will.
And I would honestly be like props, like whatever it is.
I prefer that. Yes, please take them so we don't have to have this awkward interaction of, oh, I'm gay. And then being like, ew, gross. You know, like,
and that's the thing is that we got to see like a couple other booths that like really like had it. My favorite, I'm going to come out right now, my favorite banner of the whole fucking weekend was someone who was on a different, like just right around the corner from us. And she obviously forgot her banner, which is devastating. I've had that before. It super sucks. And then she wrote on a cardboard box, like her name, where she was at, and I think her social media, but she did it in like a dope way and then taped that up.
And it was cheetah print duct tape.
Yeah, and it was cheetah print duct tape. So it was like... And
we're still thinking about you.
Yes, it got my attention. I was like, holy shit, this is the fucking... that's such a great thing. Instead of just like giving up. And then I had another artist who'd forgotten her business cards. So she had like cut out not just like pieces of paper, but like cardstock, and then like written her information, but even done like lines around it. So I was like, this is great. And did 2 different color pens.
Yeah.
And I was like,
oh my God.
And she like gave it to me because I was like, oh my gosh, do you have a card? And she's like, I forgot my cards. I had to like hand make some, and gave it to me. And I was like, this is still a moment. Like,
yes.
Yeah, it's the like, we didn't see it as this one because I know you have a personal vendetta against sticky notes and torn paper.
I do. And I forgot to mention that actually did make me think, if you are going to do that, I better see some clean ass lettering. I want to see you put some effort into it.
The one that was on the cardboard, because it's cardboard, it was like not the world's best lettering, but so like such a moment and such a vibe because
memorable.
She like made it bold.
I also
and
think
like
it was
she kind of did it, and it
like worked, right?
Yeah, I thought it was like intentional, like the way it was like a little bit wonky. I don't know if it was. If it wasn't, you know what? Props to you because you made it look like it was meaningful, purposeful.
Either way, it really
and that
worked.
was the one that I was like, yes, I need to follow you. You're the fucking tits.
Yeah, totally.
And then like she had obviously gone to the store and gotten like letters. Like the banner letters that you can like hang for like happy birthday, but done it in her name. And so she had taken that down and replaced it with that. But I was like, you know what? Still works. I know who you are.
Yes.
The first one was like ingenious, and like you didn't say, oh, well, I forgot this. I'm fucked.
I mean, she did stand out. And again, we are still talking about you. So
amazing.
There is that. Also, I love the like not giving up, you know, like we're artists, right? So let's make something in that case. Like let's make it happen. It's literally our job.
Yeah, we did see more pink booths than I've ever seen at a tattoo convention.
Beautiful.
That was dope. Yeah, seeing like more like actual color. And we were talking about this earlier about like if you have like a vibe for your shop, I want to see people go all in. Like if you're a black and gray artist, I would love for all your decor to just be black and gray.
I do love a cohesive shop.
Yeah.
When there's like when it's one shop and I can't tell if like you're just really good friends with the other artists or if you're all in a shop together, I feel like that's where it's like, okay, we're losing some of that cohesiveness. So that whole like, oh, at least like, let's see all the banners be kind of matching.
Oh, yeah.
That would really help because there are a few booths that I wasn't like 100% sure whether or not, like, again, are you guys all from the same shop? I see that this table
a couple of them weren't from the same shop that all shared the same area. I talked to a couple of those artists and they all just like went in and like rented booths together, but they weren't all from the same shop.
Yeah, and I saw some that was from like one shop, and I think that's where it gets a little bit confusing. Yeah. So maybe again, if you're all one shop, I get that it's kind of a pain in the ass, and you do want to respect the fact that all of your artists are different, and you should have your creative freedoms. Maybe save the like individualized banners for when you all individually go to a different. You know, if you're individually at a booth and you're not the whole shop repping each other. Otherwise, I think it's a really good idea to have something that's like cohesive. You know? It doesn't have to be a shared, just like one banner. It can also just be banners that are still like very similar. So it's easy to tell. So more free shit, please. I would like a keychain that says something funny from somebody else's shop.
Yeah.
I would enjoy that.
I think, and for me, it's the like wanting to see like the booths that meant the most to me, like that I remember and that I really was like drawn to had like all their own personality in it. And it was very cohesive and polished. And I was like, this is great, because then I naturally trust you more as an artist. And then, like, I don't want us to be like the most like dolled out booth. I want to like go in and see every booth like that, where it's like you walk up and you know the assignment, you know the vibe. You're like, yes, that's it. Yeah. Like that was, and so like seeing other booths like that, I was like, fuck yes, this is awesome. Like to see that.
No, absolutely.
So,
well, on that note, what was your win for the week? Would you like
we made it through the convention. Yeah, I got back from that drive. That was it.
Yeah. No, yeah. For sure. Absolutely. Again, props to you. I really appreciate you. I'm so sorry. I could not. Period. I think my win for the week is putting out all 3 of those reels again. I think it is also really important. I don't know if we touched on that as well, but if you're going to a convention, it's a really good thing to keep the socials updated. So a recap on every single day is really great for your page. So that's my advice I would have for you, but also my win for the week. So
perfect.
On that note, thank you guys so much for listening. We appreciate the hell out of you, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
See y'all.